In this video, I'll be showing you how to completely disassemble a furnace, take all the parts out of it, until only the cabinet body remains. There is, however, one part that I won't be showing you how to take out, and that is the furnace condensate trap. And the reason for that is because in my previous video, I took this thing out and I permanently disassembled it just to show you what the inside of it looks like. This does not come back together, so I never ended up putting it back in. But don't worry, if you're interested to see how this thing came out, I will link that video in the comments section. I will also not be taking apart anything in the blower compartment because, once again, I have another video where I pull out the blower wheel and clean it. In that video, I take everything apart in that blower compartment. I will leave a link in the comments for that video as well for anyone interested to see how that part comes apart. And that's all for the intro. Let's go ahead and get started with the dissecting of the furnace. Okay, so pretty much everything you see here is going to be coming out. But before I start taking anything apart, there is two things I want to mention. Number one is that this furnace was set up for liquid propane, LP. That's why we have this yellow flexible piping coming to it. If you had natural gas, you would have solid piping coming into it, along with a big union that you need to loosen to take anything apart. And number two is that you would normally have PVC pipes coming into the inducer motor and this combustion air intake right over here. So it would look something like that. In order to take these pipes out, you would take this screw out right over here, which will allow you to take this pipe out. And as for the inducer motor, there's a clamp on here that holds onto the pipe. So you simply loosen the clamp, the outside clamp, until you can slide that pipe out. The first part I'm going to take out is the gas valve, and you can do this in two ways. You can either take out the gas valve alone, or you can take it out along with the gas manifold, this black pipe right here, which is what I'm going to do. And once again, if you have natural gas, you're going to have a big union that you have to loosen up before you can proceed with any of this. To begin with, I'm going to go ahead and take the cover off of the burner box so that I can take the manifold out. Then there's two screws right over here that are securing the manifold in place. I'm going to go ahead and take those out as well. And I believe now I should be able to just pull this whole entire assembly along with the gas valve right out. I suppose I should have also disconnected this flexible piping as well, but at this point I might as well just yank it out. All right, and with that we have our first part out. Actually, technically it's two parts, because we have the gas valve and then we have the burner manifold, which is the second part. And in this assembly, we also have the little burner orifices. These are these little spuds right here. These are the holes where the gas comes out from and goes into the burners. Next up is this intake assembly, which is held in place by two screws. I'm also going to go ahead and disconnect the hose that goes to the condensate trap. And now I should be able to pull this thing down and out. There it goes. Next up, we have the number one furnace problem, which is that flame sensor right over there. And at this point, I could just take this entire box off along with everything inside of it, but for video purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to take the burners out and the igniter before I take this whole box out. With this furnace, the burners only have one screw that is holding them in place, but of course if you have more burners, then you're going to have a few more screws. With that screw out, I can pull these burners right out. I won't be doing this in this video, but just so you know, these burners are held onto the bracket by these little tabs right over here. If you bend these tabs out, you can actually take this burner off of the bracket. Next up, we have these two white wires that go to the igniter. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out next. I'll unplug it first. And the only thing holding the igniter in place is also just one screw. It's attached to the bracket with just this one screw, and the purpose of the bracket is to just simply help you pull this igniter out of that burner box. And the last thing we have left on the burner box is the flame rollout switch. I'm gonna go ahead and take that out as well. I have a whole video about flame rollout switches, how they work and when they trip. So if you're interested, I'll add that link in the comments as well. And now all that's left is to take out the burner box itself, and it's held in place by 10 screws. So 7 of them are easy to get to, and then you got 3 more which are on top. So let's go ahead and start with the easy ones. In order to reach the screws in the back on top, you are going to need a long extension like this. This is what the burner box was hiding. These are the inlets to the heat exchanger cells. And by the way, do you see this crack that is running on the face of the heat exchanger? This would be considered a cracked heat exchanger. So here is the burner box that we took off, and this is what it looks like on the inside. Next, we have the high limit switch. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out quick as well. I have a pretty good video on these things as well. I take it apart and show you how it works. I'll put a link in the comments. The next thing I'm going to take out is the pressure switch assembly. And I know that in this video I'm just pulling all the wires right off. But if you were doing this in a real life scenario on a real furnace that you need to put back together, I would try to leave as many of the wires on the components, on the parts, as you can. Or at the very least, take pictures of where each wire went. Otherwise, when you put everything back together, it's going to be a little bit of a headache to track down where each wire goes. This pressure switch assembly is held in there by 2 screws, one here and one over here. And that's all it takes to get the pressure switches off. And just like the igniter, they're mounted onto a bracket. If you wanted to take them off, you simply had to take a couple of screws out in the back and these pressure switches come off. If I'm going to be taking the heat exchanger out, this little electrical box is going to have to be taken out as well. So let's go ahead and do that next. Don't worry, the power is off. With the setup I have going here, I have to take out this switch and then take out 2 screws from inside of here before I can take this box out. And with the screws out, I just need to push this connector out. And now I'll be able to take this inside part out. And before I take this inducer motor out, let's go ahead and take the wires out. I'll just push them off to the side like that for now. And then I'm also going to take out some of this pressure switch tubing. And also the hoses that went to the condensate trap. We're going to take them out, push them off to the side, just so that they're not in the way. These big inducer motors on carriers and Bryants are generally held in place by 4 screws, which are located 2 on the bottom and 2 on top. I got 3 of them out, and the 4th one is getting stuck on the bottom, so I can't pull it out all the way, but that's okay. As long as it's completely loosened, I should be able to just take the whole motor along with that screw right out. Okay, so here is the inducer motor. That's what it looks like in the front, and here's the back. And with the inducer motor gone, we pretty much have nothing left in the furnace except the collector box. And notice how there's a bunch of silicone on the edges of where the motor comes in. That's a pretty good indicator that this motor has been replaced before. As for the collector box, on some furnaces you can take it out without having to take anything else apart. On this furnace, I can't. So we're going to leave that alone for now, and we're going to get started on the heat exchanger. Let's go ahead and also pull these hoses off of the collector box so they don't get in the way. And a quick pro tip before we continue, if you're pulling your tubing off and you're noticing that it's damaged or cracked on the end, make sure you cut the end of it off. Usually there's plenty of slack, there's plenty of extra tubing available, which makes it okay to cut the damaged piece off. The screws that run along the edge on the inside here are usually the ones that are holding the heat exchanger in place. So let's go ahead and take those out first, and like usual, there's probably going to be a screw or two that I missed that we're going to have to address a little later. Okay, so I got the screws on the edges out, and let's see if I'm lucky enough and this thing is going to start sliding out. Of course not. Other screws that I could have missed could be up on top, but there's no screws at all up on top, so it must be 2 screws on the bottom. So I'm gonna have to open up the blower compartment after all and look for those screws. Fortunately for me, I made a previous video where I took out the blower motor and I did not put everything back together after that video. So this is already partially disassembled for me. I already disconnected all the wires up on top, so this whole entire control board and wire harness assembly can just come right out. Found it. If we take a look inside of my blower compartment, here's one screw on one side, and on the other side, there's the other screw. So these are the 2 screws that are holding my heat exchanger and not allowing me to slide it out. With those screws out, let's try this one more time and see if I can slide this thing out. And even though my hands are cut resistant, I would rather put some gloves on just to be safe. Let's see if I missed any more screws. Oh, okay, nice, it's coming out. And I don't know if you can tell on video, but I have to pull this pretty darn hard. So just so you know, I don't know if it's looking easy, but usually you have to yank on these things pretty hard and wiggle them a lot in order for them to come out. And I actually did forget 2 more screws. These 2 screws up on top in the corners, they need to come out so I can bend the furnace cabinet a little bit to get this heat exchanger to come out. If you were doing this in a real life scenario and you had a plenum up on top, you would not be able to do what I'm doing right now, where this top piece just comes right off. It'll probably be held in place by the plenum or the A-coil that sits on top of it. So all that you really need to do is just bend it a little bit so your heat exchanger can slide through. Even though I wore the gloves, it still got me. Here's what the heat exchanger looks like from all the different sides. The big cells up on top is the primary heat exchanger, and the smaller ones are the secondary. And if we flip over the heat exchanger and look at the underside, those are the secondary heat exchanger cells. And if we take a closer look at the heat exchanger, we're gonna find some holes drilled into it. These holes are from a previous video that you should definitely check out. Just a fair warning for those of you that have never carried a heat exchanger, these things are pretty darn heavy. I took the time to weigh it, and it came in at about 80 pounds. And while I have everything apart, there is one more thing I want to show you that some people might find helpful. These lips on the blower motor housing, they go in on the furnace cabinet body right over here into these brackets. And if you haven't replaced too many blower motors, you may find it interesting to see how exactly the blower motor housing slides into there. So while I have the heat exchanger out, let me show you what it looks like when this housing slides in. Well guys, and that is all I had for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not gonna film how I'm gonna put all of this back together. In fact, I'm kind of tempted not to put it all back together at all, but we'll see. If you happen to have a good video idea of what I could do with all these furnace parts and this cabinet body, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And if you're still here and not in the comment section below, let me share something profound with you. If I have any female audience watching, Please don't be offended, but here it goes. Why are women evacuated first in a disaster? So men can think of a solution in silence. And one more. If you have any Spanish friends, next time you see them, tell them mucho. It means a lot to them. Believe it or not, it took me a while to get inside of this furnace, so hopefully I'll be able to get out without a hitch and without cutting myself up.